Welcome to Phone Booth Fighting, everybody. I am Richard Hunter. My co-host is the two-time UFC heavyweight champion of the world, Frank Mir. Frank is channeling us, or we're channeling him, all the way from Manchester, England. He's on the big screen here in the Phone Booth Fighting bunker. Frank, come in. Do you have us?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, excellent. There's Frank. Now, my very special guest co-host to my left here, that is Mrs. Mir. Jennifer Mir is here. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
All right. Now, here's going to be a fun episode because Jennifer is sitting in my chair. I'm sitting in Frank's chair because, of course, the Phone Booth Fighting bunker is deep in the bowels of stately Mir Manor. Frank has gone over to England to do seminars and play-by-play for ACB. And so we're just going to do the show here in the bunker, but with Frank basically in what is normally the guest position. Normally we have the guest on the big screen. And Frank's, I guess this sort of makes you a guest in your own home, sort of technically, right, Frank?
True. And I just thought it was a good way. I could double up, talk to the wife, go to work all at the same time.
That's right. And fortunately, I subscribed to Frank's premium X-rated Snapchat. So that's how we... That's what we're getting here. This is like a members only deal. If you're watching on our Phone Booth Fighting YouTube page, you'll see what we're talking about. But Frank is in bed and appearing to be au naturel, as they say in France. Now, Jennifer, also off camera, but we should just to set the stage here. You got a couple of your friends in. Who's the audience tonight?
Yes, I do. So my girlfriend Jennifer and my other girlfriend Roxana.
Yes.
We've been friends for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they just came in today to celebrate my birthday.
Excellent. Yeah, and Travis is over here producing as normal. First of all, just kind of a general happy birthday to Travis. His was Friday. Jennifer's was about a week ago, more or less, right? And then Frank's was right before that. Turns out everybody in the Phone Booth Fighting family has a birthday right around this time except for me. So happy birthday to everyone. So and today's Father's Day. So this is also a chance to say happy Father's Day to Frank. How was your Father's Day, Frank? What'd you do today there in Manchester? Is this it?
Yeah, this is about it. Well, last night I called the fights at ACB, but then they had us flying out at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
So by the time we were done, care of everything, I just never even went to bed. We went to the airport, flew into Moscow from Rostov, and then flew into London, and then I caught another flight from London to Manchester.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I just ran to the hotel room, got into bed and passed out. So I'm just waking up. It's like 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning now, and trying to the world.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, how'd the fights go? How was ACB over there?
Yeah, man, it was excellent. They instituted a new program where if you get a finish, whether it's knockout or submission, but basically take your guy out before the end of the regulation time, they gave a $5,000 bonus. So we ended up fights and no decisions. Everybody was either choked out or knocked out.
Oh, wow. It's so everybody was financially motivated to end the evening early.
Look, that seems like a good idea. Instead of just picking 1 or 2 guys to get a bonus, anybody finish. And so people were driven. We saw some pretty highlight reel knockouts. It made it for a fun night to call fights. All
right. Now, what we're going to do on the show today is we're going to do the first part of the show with Frank. We'll talk about some fights. There was a big UFC women's bantamweight fight over the weekend. And then, Jennifer, we have put out the call for more questions for the next installment of Ask Mrs. Mir. And the reaction has been overwhelming. I mean, just in an hour or so, we may have gotten upwards of 100 questions. We're not going to be able to get to all those, obviously. We're going to select the best ones. But what we're going to do before we do that segment is we're going to disconnect Frank so you can feel free to speak candidly. That's how we're going to do that. So first things first here, though, Frank. So you were doing ACB, but I know you at least had a chance to catch the main event yesterday over there in Singapore with Holly Holm and why am I spacing on the name? Bethe Correia, of course, yes. The Brazilian that Ronda Rousey fought a little while back that was up until that point taking out the Lady Horseman one by one. So Bethe Correia gets Holly Holm. The first couple of rounds, not a whole lot of activity. It was kind of a conservative game plan on both their parts, and that was drawing some boos from the crowd. That was right up until Betch Kohea motioned her to come on, taunted her just a little bit, and about 2.5 seconds later, Holly Holm connects with a head kick and a left uppercut for good measure as Kohea is on the ground and knocks her out. What'd you think, Frank? I know Holly went into the fight as the big favorite, but what'd you think about the game plan up to that point?
Well, I mean, I thought actually Betch probably made a good showing of herself, better than I expected. You know, she was around a lot, and I think that you know, kept Holly moving and not able to pinpoint her and come in with attacks. I think, you know, we broke it down last time. I mean, barring a freak accident, I just couldn't see a way that Carrera could win this fight at all. It was just too outmatched, too outgunned, and you know, and I thought that you know, that Holly, you know, did exactly what she should have done and was able to win via knockout. You know, I think that if she had taken this decision, it would have been kind of disappointing. But you know, nice highlight reel knockout, another one, you know, head kick for Holly Holm, and just, you know, keep moving forward in the division and hopefully, you know, get another title shot.
Yeah, and you know, it looks like Holly got herself right back into that conversation because you know, despite the fact that one of her recent losses had come in the featherweight division when she was challenging Germaine Durandamy for that belt, you know, since the biggest win of her career, defeating Ronda Rousey, had been on a little bit of a skid. It seems like this was exactly what her career needed right at this point, you know?
Yeah, it did. She came back exactly like, you know, one thing is to have a proper opponent that shouldn't be safe, but also too, it can add a little bit of fear in the fact that if you go out there and just get a win, it can also hurt your you know, your marketability and your momentum. And so the fact that she not only got the win and beat a girl that she was a heavy favorite to win, but doing so in a fashion that shows that she was leaps and bounds above her.
The co-main event was in your division, Frank, the heavyweights. One of your more recent opponents, Andrei Arlovsky, lost a unanimous decision to Marcin Tybura. You know, the thing about this fight, though, was Andre looked like, I mean, after the first round, Tybura, who came into this fight with, he's got a pretty significant grappling background, was really, you know, got Andre down and was staying on top of him and looked like he was very close to possibly finishing the fight in the first round. But once the fight came back to the feet, he was really gassed, and it looked like Andre might have a chance to come back. In the end, Tybura defeated him, and he did come into the fight as a favorite. I think he was like maybe a plus, or I think Andre was like a plus 170 or something like that. But, you know, this is one of those situations that we've seen before where it's like, you know, Tybura, I think, was ranked number 13, something like that. Arlovsky was still ranked number 7, right around there. And you've got this guy who's right on the cusp of a top 10, and it's like, all right, here's your test. You're going to have to beat one of the legit top 10 guys to, you know, at least crack the top 10 and maybe, you know, basically make an attempt to more or less trade places with him. So it's kind of like, you know, two trajectories. One's headed in an upward fashion. One may be a bit on the decline at this point. But, you know, it seems like Arlovsky's chance was to maybe keep it on the feet and knock him out if he could. But Tybura executed a smart game plan by getting Arlovsky to the ground and just wearing him down there.
Yeah, I mean, Arlovsky has always been just kind of a weird guy as far as, you know, in fact, you know, talking to the other guys about it, you know, it seems like he's just very hot and cold. There's times where Arlovsky comes out and he looks, you know, stellar. He's a great athlete, great movement. And there's other times it seems like he just doesn't have the same effort towards wanting to win the fight.
Yeah. Well, it was it was a pretty good night of fights, especially for a Fight Pass card. Sometimes those are a little bit of a sleeper; they sneak by you. Hey, something that our friend Forrest Griffin was the sort of the face for this last week. You may not even know about this yet, Frank, but the UFC's Fight Pass, which has now been around for a pretty good length of time, has now incorporated into its platform a 24/7 streaming channel. Now, what this means is, and this is something I've been clamoring for a long time, if up until now, if you watch UFC's Fight Pass, you can click basically one on-demand video after another and watch them. But there was no actual channel that you could just turn on and leave on the way you would like, I don't know, ESPN or something like that. You just turn on your TV and you let it go in the background while you're cleaning the house or whatever. And the UFC Fight Pass has actually incorporated that into the platform, which is pretty cool now, because now they have a component of it that can actually directly plan the programming that they want to push. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that or not. I was super excited, but that's just because I like being able to have something like that on in the background. The next thing I want them to do,
it seems much better that way. You can just instead of just
yeah, we got you. Go ahead.
Being able to just flip something on and keep just a channel on like you would a normal cable channel, I think,
right,
is a huge improvement.
Yeah, I know. Now, the only other thing I need them to do now is, you and I think we're talking to Eric Winter about this when we had him on. When he's not doing the Fight Pass anymore, but when he was doing that, now what I need him to do is to create this search feature. Where, like, let's say I'm preparing to interview you, Frank. So I can go on Fight Pass, and right now I can search Frank Mir, and 1,000 things will come up. But they don't have the ability for me to just put in Frank Mir fights and watch one. I want to be able to see every single one of your fights without having to stop and push play on each one, if that makes sense. And right now I would have to do that. So I'm waiting for them to come up with this way where I can just hit play everything that involves a Frank Mir fight and then just let it roll. That's the next thing I want them to invent. You see, you were there. You fought him. You're way more. I'm way more concerned about this sort of thing than me. I don't think Frank spends as much. He doesn't waste as much of his life on Fight Pass as I do. Is that it?
Oh, not as much.
All right. So now we should put everybody's mind at ease, because you're in Manchester. You're not in London, right? Because we just had another person run up on the sidewalk and run over some people over there. You're in Manchester, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm in Manchester right now. So I know when you called me, I looked it up. I saw the incident occurred in London.
Yeah.
It looks like a little bit of retaliation back and forth. From what I kind of gathered just in the little article I read, that it was on Muslims, that they're praying or something. I couldn't quite gather what was happening, but just more anger in the world.
Yeah. All right. Well, you look like you're probably about ready to get some sleep, and I'll let you know that everything here at Stately Mere Manor is just as it is per usual. I got here, I saw your kids come running by the door, and then there were some random kids that came in. Looked like at one point, Jennifer, it's a set of twins walked by or something.
There's 6 boys.
There's 6 boys. Yep, Travis brought one to contribute.
Bella, so we got 8 kids, 2 dogs.
Yeah.
And a bunch of cackling old women.
Yeah. What's that, Frank?
I said, besides me being home, it seems like everything's just a status quo.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So let's let Frank get some sleep. And then Jennifer and I, we're going to talk about, we're going to do Ask Mrs. Mir. And then Jennifer got stuck on the way home in the EDC traffic, the electronic Daisy Carnival traffic. And actually, it's interesting you brought that up, because Travis had some questions on that he wanted to ask you and me, just in terms of this.
You would have laughed, because right now mm-hmm. there's broken down on the side of the road. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they were going to EDC. There's like 2 girls in tutus, right? And then the guy, it just was hilarious. I don't know.
They didn't quite make it.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what we're going to talk about. All right, Frank. So you go to sleep over there, and then we'll reconnect with you tomorrow, and then we're going to basically try to tape the second episode of the week like this too. I think with you on the screen. How long are you in Manchester? Is this seminars all week long in Manchester over there? What are you doing?
Yeah, Manchester all the way through. I think I have one in Glasgow on
mm-hmm.
Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Scotland. So I get to experiment and jump on a train, and then I think some of them maybe I'll head back towards London a little bit, but for the most part, yeah, this is the area.
Okay. Well, you remember how to log into Snapchat, right? Our phone booth fight Snapchat. What's that, Frank?
I said, you have to be sending me a text.
Okay, well, I'll remind you, but Snapchat some stuff over there because I know our listeners are going to want to see it. All right?
All right, guys.
Okay, good night.
Bye, babe.
All right, there goes Frank. Going to go to sleep now. It's, I don't know what time it is over there.
I think it's like 3 a.m.
Oh,
They're
gosh.
8 hours ahead.
Oh, boy. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Travis, jump on here for a second.
Okay.
Get your mic hot over there. So, just to get everybody up to speed, Jennifer. So we live in Las Vegas, and once a year there is this thing called the Electric Daisy Carnival. It's a techno music festival, and they call it EDC for short. And I've never been, but I'm got a little bit of awareness of what it is. Mostly, the couple of years that I've been here now, I get stuck in the traffic every year, and you do as well. That's what happened.
Yeah, I did. That just happened because I was thinking it was like Friday 5 o'clock traffic on Sunday, and then all of a sudden, my girlfriends and I are looking at because I said I can't believe there's so much traffic. We're looking, and you see tutus in the back. Girls in tutus. You see EDC painted all over the cars.
Everybody kind of dresses like Rainbow Bright, sort of.
Yes,
yeah,
definitely,
okay.
yeah.
It's
Tinkerbell.
Yeah, it's a rave. I mean, I don't know.
It's a rave.
I don't know if that's an outdated term now or not, but that's what it is, right? Glow sticks and things that light up.
So
and
I call it a rave.
We'll go with rave.
Yes.
I'm with you. So Trav, pull up. I know we've got a little bit of video. I think I've already got a couple of screens pulled up there. Some YouTube videos of what EDC is about. If you want to.
Oh yeah, we were all talking about it because we've all been friends. My girlfriends and I, we are early 20s.
Oh yeah.
So we had those EDC
Okay.
days.
Oh
yeah.
Now how far back does this go? Do you know? I don't know how long they've been doing it. Yeah.
Not very long.
Okay.
I don't think.
Okay. So you've been to things like this, but this
not EDC. No.
Yeah. This deal is they do it out at the Speedway where they have the NASCAR, I think, and it takes over out there. So go ahead and blow this up full screen, Travis, and then we'll just be right there. Yeah. We'll get a glimpse for people who are watching on our YouTube channel down there. Hit play.
Wow, look at that. And then, is that a stage?
So bring the volume down a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, a little bit more. Travis, go ahead and bring that volume down. There we go. And so
to be young again.
So we got to get the. This looks like Travis's son Hayden up here a little bit, doesn't it? There.
Oh my God, it does. It does.
DJ on the turntables, and you got the people dancing and everything.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Travis, I told him to fire up his mic there because he had some parenting questions about this.
Okay.
All right. Of course, Jennifer, the Mir kids are there's 3 of them, and they're what ages now?
Bella will be 14 on July 1st. Cage is 11, and Ronan just turned 8 last week. His birthday's the day before mine.
Okay. Go ahead. You just let this play, Travis. We'll just keep it low in the background, keep it up here on the monitor so people can watch what we're talking about. Yeah, as this is going. So Travis, your question was what about this whole thing?
I don't know. I thought maybe you guys were a little bit more hip than I am. I try to be open-minded about a lot of this stuff, but I've never been to a rave. It doesn't look like something I would enjoy, but I see a lot of my friends have kids that are 16, 17, and they were taking pictures of their kids, putting it on Instagram, and they dropped them off there.
Oh, like it was prom.
Yeah. And I just wasn't sure how I felt about that, or if I'm getting a little bit old and I'm that guy, or if what you thought about that?
I'm gonna bring this down a little bit.
Yeah, that's that. 16 and 17. Okay, so now I have my oldest son, Marcus, is almost going to be 25, and he's been to EDC.
No, of course he has.
Yes. After though, 21 and up though. I don't honestly. I don't. I can't see Frank and I dropping our kids off.
I think
there at all. I mean, are they going with their kids?
Oh no, they dropped them off, and I was actually uncomfortable looking at the Instagram pictures because they're 16-year-old daughters. It wasn't boys; it was daughters.
No way.
Looked like everybody else in the crowd.
No way.
Okay,
no way.
So you're saying, Jennifer, right offhand, there's no way that you would let the kids go if you weren't with them. Is that right?
No, and even if I did, Frank, no, there's no way. I mean, yeah,
But so it's definitely a no, them going without you, and it's probably a no even going with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just from my own experience. I mean, you know, in my 20s, like we were just saying, my girlfriends and I, we went to raves, we went, you know, we partied. I don't think it's an environment for a 16 or a 17-year-old. I don't.
Okay. My objection with this, if I had the teenagers, would be mostly musical in nature. I'm worried about what this is doing to their musical taste. So I think my concerns would mostly be born out of that, because I can't. It's weird. I don't understand what the live draw is. Now there's a lot of onstage pageantry as far as like the props and stuff, but the actual performers themselves, I mean, there's not a lot you can do other than hop up and down in one place, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, it's an experience.
They tell me sometimes there's drugs involved in this.
Oh,
is that right? I hear that.
I am almost 100% positive.
Well, see, that's another thing that wouldn't appeal to me then. So,
I, you know, hey, you're in your 20s, you're young, you know, you have the whole world ahead of you. Awesome.
No,
but 16, 17,
yeah,
especially in Vegas, Frank and I talk about that all the time. It's really hard here because, you know, I grew up born and raised in Sacramento, California. It's different. Here, you know, partying and drinking and gambling and doing drugs and all of those things, it's so accessible that I think why start promoting that so early at 16 and 17 and showing them, see, look, you know, start 16, 17, 18, 19, you know, look at all the fun you can have. You don't even have to be 21. I don't know. I think their minds, I want to try to keep them, you know, as young. Innocent. Yeah. Just as young as possible. They have plenty of time to do all that.
Now, see, my mom, now let me ask you a mom question about this then, because my experience growing up of going to concerts before I was old enough to drive myself is that my mom would drop, you know, me and my friends off in the minivan outside Reunion Arena there in Dallas, which is where the Dallas Mavericks would play at the time. But it was, and, you know, we're going to metal shows and stuff like that, but it was, you know, you're inside a basketball arena. You know, the most I can ever remember seeing is you're smelling pot and maybe occasionally seeing it somewhere if somebody had it, but that's really it, you know? So, I mean, that, to me, that's innocuous enough. I guess if I was a parent and my kid was 15, 16, well, at 16 they could drive, but I mean, before that, I could see them going to something like that. Now, do you guys think you'd even be at that point of allowing that?
I don't know. Frank's pretty protective. I don't know. I mean, our daughter, she loves concerts. I love music. She loves music. And even just me taking Isabella to a concert, Frank's right there with us. I mean, Katy Perry, Justin Bieber, he's real, you know, he's a safety. He worries about safety.
Yes.
Not that I don't think there's too many raging lunatics like Katy Perry. Although I'm going to say was so crazy to me is all of the pedophiles, like the pedophile looking people at the Katy. I know I'm being serious. It's horrible. It was horrible. It was scary. That scared me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Frank was telling me when you guys, I didn't know about Katy Perry, but he said when you went to Justin Bieber that it was a lot of screaming in the back, and a lot of Clash of Clans playing for him. He said he got in a lot of Clash of Clans.
He played Clash of Clans, and Justin Bieber was at MGM, and you know Frank's fought at MGM.
Yes.
So when we were in there, and it was just, you know, screaming, and I said, "Well, babe, I mean, you fought, and the crowd's cheering, but," he says, "there's something about 18,000 screaming 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds. It's way different."
Well, what's funny about that is you could probably replace all of those 12,000 screaming teenagers with the 12,000 screaming teenagers' dads, and that was probably the audience he had. You know, like it was just probably all the dads.
There weren't too many dads, and he just played Clash of Clans the whole time.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what I would do with this because but did anybody die? Don't they always like to claim at least one casualty every year, right?
Yeah.
Does everybody live through this so far this year? I haven't heard of any deaths. Did you, Travis?
I haven't seen any deaths. But,
it's not over with, though, is it?
No, still time.
Okay.
Still
I
time.
think they had quite a bit more arrests and medical incidents than they did last year.
Oh, okay. Fewer deaths, more arrests. So it's a mixed bag. Yeah, I don't know what I would do, because it's like, on the one hand, I don't want my kid to miss out on a musical experience. On the other hand, though, this seems to bring, apart from the kind of security things like Frank is concerned with, I'm just thinking about, like, I got my car last night. I left, I went to, where was I? Where did we go last night? Oh, I know. We went to, Jennifer and I were eating at, over at Mandalay Bay, and I got my car. It was like 100 and something degrees at 11 p.m. So I just worry about, like, my kids being out in this heat, if nothing else.
Dehydrated. That's what my girlfriend Jen was just saying, because we were, like I said, we were talking about it in the car. Yeah. And she was saying that, well, actually, that's really what the medical attention is usually dehydration. Yeah. Because, especially if they're doing drugs. Yeah. And it's already dehydrating you and raising your body temperature, and then you're adding heat, not drinking, dancing, and then maybe even drinking alcohol on top of it. Yeah, no.
Well, you know what those kids need? Real water. Get real.
Yes, exactly.
By drinking real water, go to drinkrealwater.com, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, let me tell you, Frank and I talk about real water all the time, and they're a good sponsor here on the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast and keeping us hydrated. But this really hit home with me. Their 8.0 pH that utilizes their proprietary E2 technology, making it the only drinking water on the market that can maintain a stable negative ionization. Because Jennifer, my Jennifer, ordered some kind of green drink vitamin supplement stuff online the other day. It arrived. She's mixing it up, both of our green drinks and all this. And it came with these little tabs where you test your acidity versus your alkalinity, right? And the whole idea of the supplements that she was ordering was to boost your alkalinity. And that is one of the things that Real Water brags about, is being, I say brags about, I mean is able to claim that they are alkaline with an 8.0 pH and negative ionized. So I put the little tab thing on my tongue for the test. Turns out I'm great. Just really? Right where I need to be. And I looked at her and I just said, nah, Real Water. I think that's has me right where I need to be. So thank you, Real Water. Get real at drinkrealwater.com. And also a shout out and a mention of the promo code at earthsbrew.com, also one of our sponsors. If you go to earthsbrew.com, you will get 10% off of all orders at checkout by entering the promo code Phone Booth, just for our Phone Booth Fighting listeners. Jonathan, one of the co-creators of Earth's Brew, sent me a text this afternoon that I wanted to read. He said, I wore my Phone Booth Fighting logo shirt today, and my toddler daughter pointed to the picture and said, Mommy and Daddy. It cracked me up. You clearly have very strong masculine facial features in real life that the drawing doesn't capture. He's talking about me. And he says, she also clearly gives me way too much credit because I am no Frank Mir. So basically, Jonathan from Earth's Brew, his daughter looked at our logo and thought that Frank and I were her mom and dad.
That is funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm secure in my femininity.
Kids are so honest.
Yeah. Well, and I certainly hope Jonathan could do better than me. So I'm assuming he did. But Earth's Brew is an all-natural, plant-based supplement, 15 calories per serving, no artificial sweeteners, additives, preservatives, and for a vegan like me, all of that is important. It's a natural way to relax. And Travis, I know after a long, hard day of slinging rock or grinding stone or whatever it is he's out there doing on the highways and byways, he's enjoying some Earth's Brew, right? Travis, you have taken to the regimen.
That's right.
Yes, I got Travis a box, and he's been enjoying that. So you can as well if you go to earthsbrew.com, put in the promo code phone booth, 10% off all orders at earthsbrew.com.
I'm looking at the questions.
Oh, the questions. Yeah, we're about ready to do a little Ask Mrs. Mir here. We solicited questions online. And I should also say, if you'd like to get a Phone Booth Fighting logo t-shirt, like what we were just talking about, Jennifer's wearing one right now. She's wearing the new ladies Phone Booth Fighting shirt.
Yes, it fits great.
Yes, it does. It looks great on you. Yep. If you're watching the Phone Booth Fighting YouTube channel, you can see it. We've got this lady's design, and we've got the ones we've had for some time, and we've also got the limited edition black on black, which is we just did a limited run of those. So all those are at phoneboothfighting.com. Click on the store, and all the shirts are on sale right now. You can also click on our Amazon banner and help support the show that way. If you click through the Amazon banner, it's of no extra cost to you if you shop on Amazon, but we get a little small percentage kickback to us, and that helps benefit Phone Booth Fighting. As Frank said, Jennifer, he's like, it's the best of both worlds, because you can help support the podcast and take money from Amazon.
I know.
So that's kind of nice. All right, let's see here, Jennifer. All right, I'm gonna pitch you a few questions here. Okay. This is Ask Mrs. Mir.
You have to do the third one,
and then we'll get to that one. All right, and just one at a time here. I'll get your response. All right, here's one from Tay Kang. Tay says to Jennifer, "Would you rather see Frank get beat up and win a fight, or lose quickly without getting too hurt?"
Oh, beat up and win a fight.
I knew you'd be honest about that.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've lived with a fighter for 15 years.
Sure.
Trust me, losing is not fun.
Yeah. Well, losing isn't fun. Losing isn't fun, and win bonuses are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and it's funny. I mean, because he's gotten hurt. Mm-hmm. He's been hurt and won a fight.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt as bad. Like, he doesn't feel the pain as much.
Yeah, I'm sure we're not talking about like a broken limb or something like that.
Oh, no, but I mean, black eyes.
Yeah, it's either over quick and he loses, but he doesn't take any punishment. But that's the day at the office. I mean, that's kind of part of it. Is there's going to be some bumps and bruises, right?
Yeah, but I mean, and then he's miserable though.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's the thing. You have to understand. Obviously, I don't want to see him get hurt.
Yeah.
But this is just what we signed up for. Mm-hmm. So I want him to win, because so much time and energy and everything's gone into the preparation for this fight, that to not come out with a win, that's just, that's not fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be better in the long run after the cuts and bruises heal, because you've got to win.
And believe me, I mean, he's had stitches, and we're still, we're celebrating. I mean, it's celebrating.
Well, yeah, because if you think about, a lot of people probably don't think about what goes into the months that follow a fight or that are in between fights. Because let's just say, for example, let's say that you're in between, or let's say you're negotiating a new contract. Well, it's a lot better to negotiate a new contract from a standpoint of strength. Hey, I'm on a 3-fight win streak or something like that, than it would be if you're coming off a loss and whoever's negotiating with you is trying to use that to lowball you a little bit. So stuff like that matters, right?
Oh yeah, I mean there's so much that goes into it. I mean, it's weeks, of sacrifice, and Frank having to miss, stuff with the kids, and that's hard for him, and the diet, and there's just so many factors. So no matter what, he wants to come out with that win.
All right.
And I do for him too, because he's miserable when he loses.
Yeah. All right. Here's one from Nick the Dane. Nick says, "What is Frank's worst habit at home?"
That is so hilarious.
Well, I thought you were going to say it's so hard to answer.
It is.
It
is hard to answer. I love my husband. He's amazing.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of great qualities. But let's see. Worst habit. It used to be putting the wet towel on the bed, but I think I freaked out enough. We've fixed that.
Why would he do that? You mean like coming out of the shower?
Yes. Yes. And one thing he gets, I mean, I don't know. The bath mat is on the outside of the shower.
Yes.
I get my towel and I'm pretty much dry by the time I even get on the bath mat.
Yeah.
Frank bypasses, like the towel's in his hand, but he bypasses the shower, the bath mat, and just makes it to the bed, and then sits at the edge of the bed, never holding the towel, but never using the towel.
Oh, that would drive me crazy.
No, Richard. Like I said, I love him to death, but oh my gosh, I want to just strangle him. That, and then I know we could have a whole segment on this.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And then he's very messy. And to his defense, when we first got together, he told me I am a slob. Well, when we got together, I mean, I had Marcus. So I thought, I'm so clean. I'll be clean enough for both of us. But then we started adding all the kids in. So now I kind of wished he was a little bit more clean. But
do you know what? That is one of my biggest concerns about if I were to ever have kids is I know there would need to be some point that I kind of let go of the control of having a really neat.
You have to let it go.
House. See,
you have to, because your kids don't care.
Right.
You know, do they care if my kitchen was clean, if the bathroom's spotless, if when everyone comes over, my house is immaculate, or do they care that I sat and read a book with them, I played with them? And so I always think that, and it was hard for me. And, you know, Frank actually helped me with that because I was so neurotic with the house, and you have the kids and they don't care.
See, my neuroses would go even deeper than that. I would be in my kid's closet going, okay, there's empty hangers mixed among the clothes that are hanging here. There's not an empty hanger section.
No, ask my kids. They've got to pull them, and I teach them that too. They have to pull the hangers, then put them in the front. But
yeah.
In the big picture, you have to let some stuff go.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's one of them. But to their question, there's a lot of things. My he's just not very clean at all.
Okay. Not very clean would be the complaint. I have not spent the number of years that you have with him, but I have done a few overnights with him, and I'll say that in my experience, it actually went pretty well because I have to have everything very neat, and he went along with that pretty well. And then he said he also appreciated the fact that when I was in I knew it was going to take me longer in the bathroom than him. And so when I got out of the shower, I did my hair and makeup and everything out in the common area so that he could have. Oh yeah,
that's what I do too.
Yeah, he said he appreciated that.
Yeah, and I forget. That's right. You guys stayed overnight. Yeah. Well, and Frank's so used to. I mean, I do everything.
Yeah.
So we go to a hotel room. It falls on the floor. I pick it up. Yeah. I lay his clothes out. I really enable him.
Yeah, that's right. I do. I saw that when we all shared that suite together at ACB when we went and did that.
That's right.
Yeah.
I enable him. I do. I clean everything because it's honestly it's not his strong suit, and that's okay. I don't mind. And I know he's going to listen to this. To his defense, in 15 years, I know. Okay, well, so everyone, I don't want it to come back to him. Yeah, your wife says you're a slob.
Yeah.
15 years, he has made tremendous strides. Let me just say that. Tremendous. I mean, really. He used to eat in the bed. He doesn't do that anymore. He puts the cap on the toothpaste. I mean, he's made tremendous strides.
All right. Okay. Here's one. This is For the Rest of Us podcast. These guys, I've actually been on their podcast, and they're big supporters of ours, and they got a great podcast. So check out For the Rest of Us podcast. They have the question: would Mrs. Mir ever consider doing her own podcast? You would be great at a podcast. You have a great personality for this.
Yeah. If there was an interest in people listening to what I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. My girlfriends, they tell me all the time, you need to start a blog. You need to, not talking about Frank's uncleanliness, obviously, but talking about, diet, exercise, mom stuff, just, I guess what I've learned in 43 years.
Sure.
Passing it on.
Well, I mean, we've always gotten a lot of very strong positive feedback about our Ask Mrs. Mir segments. So maybe eventually, maybe just even if you didn't have time to do it all the time, we could just do like the periodic special edition.
We could start there.
Yeah, like when the Jeffersons moved in next door to the Bunkers, and for the longest time they would pop up periodically on All in the Family episodes, and then all of a sudden they had their own series. series, the Jeffersons. They moved on up. Yeah. All right, let's see. Let's flip over to Frank's Instagram here. Thank you, Travis. Let's see. Okay. What, Travis? Okay.
You know what? I'm looking at a really good one right now.
What do you see?
Joe Rogers 646.
Yeah, what does he have?
This is very good. He says, "Would you ever ask Frank to retire if you thought it was time, but he didn't?"
Oh, that is a good question.
It is a good question, and the answer is no. When we first got together, that was something that we discussed, and I know it's hard for people to understand that, and the best way I can try to explain it. So I know, obviously, that me and the kids come first. But I also kind of have to know, like I have to accept that even though I know we come first, I put fighting first on his list for him. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. So I can't ask him. It's such a small window, if you think a professional athlete, and I can't ever be the one that asks him to quit. Because number one, I don't want that, I don't want any resentment at all or anything on my shoulders. Yeah. I signed up for this. I knew that this is what he wanted to do. If he asks me, Frank knows I give him 100% honest answer, times when he doesn't want to hear it. So if he asked me what I thought, but I'll never, ever, ever ask him to quit. I won't. That's just a decision he has to make on his own.
Yeah, the resentment thing is an important thing to put, because even if he doesn't realize it at the time, that's what, because this is one of those things too, that because you do literally age out of this occupation, it's not like college where you could always go back if you wanted to, right? So
you can't. I mean, when it's done, it's done. And I just don't want to be responsible for, this Frank fighting. It's a part of him. It's in him, and he's like living his dream. He gets to do what he loves to do. And I know that the time is limited. I mean, I'm sure he'll always train. I'm sure, our daughter's into it. I'm sure he'll, hold pads for her and stuff. But the actual competing, getting into the octagon and on that level, it's timed. There's only so much time. And so that's just something that, I won't ever ask him to do. And that's going to be, I'm not, it would be tough. I'm not saying that. It would be really hard. And especially if, a doctor was saying, look, you can't take any more. You need to, Athletic Commission's pretty good though. I mean, they're really thorough with checking him and doing all the testing and stuff. So, yeah.
Well, and maybe with, Bella's, your daughter's interested in this, and if one or more of the kids continues to be interested in it, maybe that's a good way to kind of ease into the.
I really am. I'm thinking that because he has such an interest in Isabella. Now Isabella, I think when he finally let go of the not having any of his kids fight, now being more accepting to Isabella, I'm seeing that I'm kind of hoping that that's going to be his transition. It seems like it's going to be.
You know what? I had a thought about that because I was watching the Holly Holm fight this weekend that Frank and I were talking about at the beginning of the show. Of course, she's the preacher's daughter. And I thought, I wonder if Isabella pursues fighting, do you think we could get her to adopt the moniker, the atheist daughter?
I wouldn't let her do that.
You don't like that? I think that's real catchy.
I don't know. Right. Yeah.
Maybe I just have a self-serving agenda.
Angry
there.
Atheist daughter. I used to call Frank the Angry Atheist. He needs to market that or something. Make a T-shirt, the Angry Atheist.
We should see if angryatheist.com is taken.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's I think between her interest in fighting and then hopefully also the podcasting. See, that's the interesting thing. This has been the real discovery for me because and we've talked about this before to some degree, but I in broadcasting had never had a partner. Because I didn't sort of trust that anybody would work hard at it with me and that sort of thing, and I just liked the fact that I could make all the decisions. And when everything came about with Phone Booth Fighting and Frank, this has been such an amazingly pleasant discovery about how committed he is to this and how hard he works at it and how good he wants it to be. Because now it's sort of like I consider him I consider a good significant portion of his energy going to podcasting just as I do fighting, and I think he enjoys it. So maybe this will be unlike fighting, this is something you can actually keep doing.
So, he loves it, and it's the same too with commentating. He gets that rush,
right.
you know.
That's
he gets talking about fights.
Yeah.
You guys going back and forth.
Yeah.
He has a lot of things. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's going to be hard. You know, this is a little information for people because they don't know this. When Chuck Liddell, when he got knocked out, it was like how many times in a row was it? It was a few, right?
Do you remember, Travis? I mean, it was
how many?
It was
like,
more
I
than
say 6. It was like the 6th time or 5th.
It was more than 2. Yeah,
yeah, it was. And Frank and I were watching the fight.
Let's pull up his record real quick.
Yeah, because I don't want to get it wrong. Frank and I, because he's amazing.
Yeah.
Frank and I were watching the fight in our living room, and I think if I remember correctly, like Joe Rogan was saying, or I think Dana had somebody had said, like, you know, Dana's going to ask him, this is just it. He can't watch him do this anymore. And Frank actually stood up. He got up real quick and like walked away. I didn't know. And he had a really hard time. He got choked up over that. And he likes Chuck Liddell a lot. He respects him. But I think just how soon that time's going to be where you have to let it go. I mean, Chuck's an amazing fighter. Obviously he want, you want to continue to compete. And Frank had a really hard time that night with that. It bothered him a lot.
His career ended with 3 straight knockouts: Rich Franklin, Shogun Hua, and Rashad Evans.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So it was. Yeah. Frank had a really hard time with that.
Yeah, I think it's tough for anybody, but if it's going to be easier for anybody to make that transition, it's probably going to be somebody who has other things like you talked about, commentating, podcasting,
doing other
the
stuff.
kids, things that they can move into. Go ahead and pull up some more questions there, Travis. Go back to our questions page. All right, let's see here.
You pick one.
All right, let's see here. All right, do you have a favorite? This is from Nate Heaton. Do you have a favorite submission?
Oh, hold on real quick.
What do you like to see when you watch? Because you've now watched a lot of fights, not only the ones that Frank's in, but it's kind of like if you're around this, you can't help but gather some type of appreciation.
Yeah.
For it.
So is it one of Frank's submissions or?
He didn't say. I think you could pick anything.
Yeah. Let's see. Frank's submissions. I loved the Tank Abbott fight. I liked he had his arm in between his legs, so he couldn't move, and then did the heel hook or toe lock, right?
Yeah, it was toe hold, right?
Toe hold, yeah. I don't know the lingo.
Yeah.
Toe hold, yeah. That was a favorite submission of mine. I really like when they do the flying, fly through the air, jump on their back, choke them out. I love that.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like chokes. I think chokes are my favorite.
My Jennifer now complains when the fights involve too much stand-up. She actually likes the ground stuff as well.
If Frank was here right now, I love submissions. It's a big argument between him and I when it comes fight time because with the coaches, they always get their game plan, and then Frank and I will go through our game plan. He'll run it by me and ask me what I think, and we go through it. And I tell him so many times, I just say, me, I'm going to tell you, go for the submissions. That's what's been your bread and butter. That's what's made you so much different than the other heavyweights is your ability to submit people like a small little small Brazilian. He's so quick and powerful. So
I just saw one, Travis. It's okay, you don't have to go back to it. I'll apologize because I'm not crediting. Well, wait a second. Okay, I've got it again. From Hunter B on Instagram. Of all of Frank's fights, which is your favorite to watch? And this is interesting. Which was your least favorite to watch?
Oh, that's easy. Okay. My least favorite was Dan Christensen.
Okay. What made it your
horrible?
Specifically, was there anything?
It was horrible. Well, I did that little the interview with Fightland.
Yeah.
Vice. Yeah. And I talked about that in there. You know, that was just a rough time. It was after the motorcycle accident. We were dealing with a lot of things. I was happy that he fought that fight and he won because, you know, that was a couple of the fights after, you know, this was the time when they were saying he could never fight again. Yeah. So I was happy with that. But I mean, it was horrible. He was so overweight, and it went to decision. It was horrible.
That's interesting because your least favorite is actually a win.
It was a win.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a win. Yeah, it was a win. It was that's
because a lot of people would probably assume that it would. No, I'm just gonna say a lot of people would probably assume that it would be a loss.
Oh no,
but they're finding out that your least favorite fight to be involved in was actually a win.
Yeah, and actually, a lot of his losses I've liked. I mean, his second fight with Brock Lesnar, he fought. That was I was so impressed with him. Yeah, it was amazing.
You know, it's funny you say that because after the Arlovsky fight, that was the one where we were at Red Rock, right? Yep. After the fight and all that. So it was interesting because my perspective on that was different than a lot of people would probably think because I was down there, of course, blurring the line between media and friendship. So I'm sitting there covering the fight, right, and having to not show any kind of reaction or any kind of thing like that because this fight went to decision, and I thought it was a debatable decision, but no one complained too much, not like a robbery or anything like that. But after the fight, you guys were at you guys had a room at Red Rock, and everybody just kind of came over, and there was like a lot of food, and Baby and Thule are running around, stuff like that. And I went over, and I thought I was going over there, and I was walking in thinking, well, this, I mean, I want to be there as a friend, but it's probably going to be like real somber. It's probably like everybody's just going to kind of be sitting around depressed. And it really wasn't like that.
No, the kids.
I mean, I'm sure it would have been a bigger party if it would have been a win, but it was still like everyone was right?
Everyone was there to support him. I mean, that's the thing too. I think, again, we go back to all of the weeks and everything that goes into it. So we celebrate Frank's achievement. I mean, win or lose. I tell him every time he goes out into the octagon, I tell him every single time, no matter what happens tonight, this moment can never be taken from you. I mean, win or lose, you're still in this octagon. When you're 60, you're going to look back at these moments and relive them over and over in your head. And that can't be taken from you. It's your moment. Enjoy it. Soak it up. Walking into the octagon, getting into the octagon, everything. Just soak it all up because, again, we talk about it being limited. It's a limited time for him to compete. So we celebrated. Yeah, we had the kids. We were doing DJ. They were dancing, and we had our friends there. We were eating. We stayed the whole weekend. The whole group, everybody. Yeah, we were in the pool.
Yeah, it would be if you took it out of context, it would be very confusing for somebody to just see if they didn't know the context because it appears to be an extended family vacation with one member looking like they had just been in a bad car wreck. But nobody seems all that concerned. I mean, everybody's still just having a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. We celebrate him. We celebrate him. Just getting into that octagon, everything that it takes to get into it, and all the sacrifices, and I mean, and it's a job for him also, and he does it for his family. On top, I mean, obviously, first and foremost, it's his love for the sport. Yeah. But he does it for us too. So we celebrate him. I think that win or lose, he should still be celebrated. Here's
one from Benjamin8213. He says, do you have a say, Jennifer, in how many weapons Frank carries? Because this is, I mean, it's a lot. It
is. And, anytime I say anything at all, baby, you're going to buy another knife. You're going to buy, he'll say, the day we stop buying purses and shoes, I'll stop buying knives and guns.
But what? I'm not sure I believe that.
Don't believe it. Because actually, I've kind of been obsessed with vacations for the last couple of years. So I'm not really in so much into the purses and shoes. But he would, come on, he would buy, I know, if he could wear 50 knives on him, I think he would do it.
It's, he's very much an open book, but one of the few just like secrets he's ever asked me to keep is he was going through his whole process with me about, well, I carry this for this reason and this type of weapon for here and that type of weapon for here. And then he told me of like 1 or 2 places that he has them.
Oh yeah.
And he just said, now don't ever tell anybody about those.
Oh yeah, I was thinking that when I was like, you're not going to say that right now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He doesn't tell that to anybody.
Yeah, in case somebody's just plotting a long-term attack. In case they've got their schematics and their blueprints out right now and they're watching film and they think they've got it all figured out, but he's got 1 or 2.
Well, and wait, have you ever seen... I don't think you've ever noticed when we go out as a family. Have you seen the kids?
I'll tell you what I've seen. My only perspective on this was we were doing an appearance for the podcast, and we had brought out the phone booth fighting banner. It's a big banner and all this kind of stuff, and I had to cut it down with zip ties. Now, foolish me, I went into the event unarmed. So I didn't have anything to cut it down with, and I just said something, and I think it was you. I think, Jennifer, you said you asked Bella to surrender her blade so I could cut the zip ties.
Yeah, so I said, Bella, do you have your knife on you?
And she looked at you like, are you sure? Because if I give this up, I'm going to be unarmed. And she didn't say that.
No, she won't be unarmed. She carries...
Oh, okay. Well,
she carries like 13 knives on her.
Okay.
Yeah, she won't be unarmed.
Yeah, but she had to look like, are you sure this is okay to surrender this weapon? Because you said something like, don't worry, you're getting it back. He just has to use it to cut the zip ties.
Yes, it's so funny. Yeah. So Frank... now Bella's old enough, so she keeps her own knives. Each kid has their own safe.
Yeah.
And so Ronan, though he's little, Ronan... Daddy keeps the knives, so then when we do go out, he puts them all in his, the pockets, the different pockets, back pocket, side pocket.
Yeah.
Showing him everything. Yeah, so he's, Ronan's strapped up.
Okay, so hold on, we've got something's going on with the kid somewhere. Hopefully, or something. Yeah. It was interesting. I saw Roxana was like, you hear the kids, and see, right now, I would not be able, not having kids myself, I would not be able to pick out the particular squeal of my child over a different one. But I noticed she could.
You can. Yeah, you can. It's weird. It's a very animalistic. Know, if you're at a park or Chuck E. Cheese or wherever, your kids cry.
Okay.
Or yell or
Yeah, because it's like when Nala hears a dog on television at our house, she kind of she kind of perks up. I noticed Roxana did that. You know what Jennifer can do that I can't even do in our house? Jennifer can tell all the cats' voices apart. So when one of them meows, she's like, knows? "Oh, yeah, that's Jude. He's hungry," or she knows which one one it is. All right. Well, we'll find maybe one more question here while we're looking. Well, here's a good one. How about from Quinn Bowman? What's the number one piece of advice you would give on marriage, Jennifer? Now, you guys have been married about as long as Frank's been in the UFC, right? More or less?
Years. Mm-hmm.
15 years. All right. What's the number one piece of advice you would give somebody?
Invest in a good therapist.
Okay.
Number one.
Yeah.
And you can't, I think there can't be any egos. There can't be a right.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to let that go.
Yeah.
The trying to be right, the having an ego, you have to let that go. It's a constant compromise. Compromise. Yeah.
Be willing to compromise.
So, be willing to compromise always.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. A lot. I mean, and believe me, he does too.
Yeah.
We both do. Both people have to.
I want to ask your thoughts then before we wrap things up, and just so everybody knows, I think we talked about this on the last episode, but Frank's overseas for a couple of weeks. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting Frank via FaceTime, like we did tonight, but he'll be doing full episodes with us as well, and we'll get him up on the screen, and then we're going to have a series of guest hosts coming in. It was we started with the one that we knew we could book because she lives here in Mrs. Muir. So, but we're going to get some other folks in to help us out as well over the next couple of weeks. So if you're used to your twice weekly phone booth fighting, then you won't have any interruption. We're going to cranking out new episodes for you. But I wanted to ask because we never talked on the air about the evolution of the podcast itself, because the first thing I just want to make sure I do publicly and really on behalf of all of our listeners is thank you for letting us do this. Because this is a major time investment. You know, it is. I mean, it's Frank. I mean, we started out, we've been doing this about a year and a half. And, you know, we started out doing it once a week. And Frank wanted to go to 2 times a week. That was all his idea because he felt like we had too much content.
He should do it 2 times a week. Yeah. Once wasn't enough.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, I mean, not even before we built out the bunker here, and I'll get to that in a second, but I mean, just the fact that, you know, I'm showing up and twice a week and keeping him up late, and because we do this at night, a lot of times after everybody's gone to bed, and then I started bringing people over, you know. I showed up with John from Blues.
Travis, though.
Well, Travis is a good guy. Yeah, Travis is a good hand to have, but like, you know, I mean, there was one time I brought John Popper from Blues Traveler over about midnight after I think everybody had gone to bed.
One. I was,
you were already asleep.
Well, you know, I'm in bed early.
But still, I mean, it's like, you know, this is your home, so I'm traipsing through here, and every time, you know, I'm showing up with more and more equipment that I'm leaving behind, and then we came up with the idea, you know, we needed to have a video component, and we needed to have a studio, and to your credit, because I was thinking you guys had this little room that you weren't using, and you know, I thought, well, I guess we could do that, but I sure wasn't going to suggest it. And it was your suggestion. You were like, hey, you know what? You guys should use the wine cellar room. So anyway, thanks for letting us. Thanks for letting me come over and play. I appreciate that. Of course. But what were your thoughts? I'd just like to ask, because I've even actually asked you, but what can you kind of remember, like what your thoughts were about the podcast, like as it started and as it grew, and what your observations were and things?
So remember Frank, Frank and I were just talking about this, because remember Frank was doing that radio, how it all started was he was doing that radio station, you.
Yep.
And there was Ricky.
Yep.
And then there was you.
Yep.
And then there ended up not being the radio station anymore.
And let me just get everybody up to speed on that real quick. So what was happening was there was a local terrestrial radio station, and they were paying Frank and Ricky Lindell to do a show together, and then they got me involved in it. And I actually was not even living in Las Vegas yet. I was doing it basically like we just did with Frank, with a internet connection. And so we all worked on that for a little period of time. But then the sponsor that was brokering that time, it was a law firm in town, quit doing it. So at that point, there was no more terrestrial radio show.
Yes, so, so then when Frank, I remember we were at Ricky's, I believe, and we were having the conversation, and I said, well, I mean, why do you have to have a radio station? I mean, can't you guys just, I didn't know exactly what you can do, but I said, can't you guys just do your own radio show? I mean, and so then and then I think everyone just was talking, and everyone kind of had the same, you know, thought, and and that's what happened. But I loved it. I wanted him to do a radio show. Yeah.
So there was never a point where you were like, you didn't realize like how much time was going to be involved?
No way. I love
this guy that's showing up?
No, I loved it. Yeah, and we're pretty fond of you too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well,
we should have had that drive home. We should have had that taped one time. Remember, we talked for like the whole 4 hours. I think.
I remember that. Yeah,
that was pretty good.
Frank was snoring in the back seat, and you and I were doing our own.
We were chatting
podcast.
It up. Yeah. But Frank. You've been a really good. Yeah, he likes you.
Well, thanks. Well, I like him. I like him too. I say this, but he has been such a pleasant surprise as far as doing this show. I mean, friendship aside, because I have this great friendship with him now, but just in terms of doing the show, because if you would have just asked me, coming from my broadcasting background, if you would have just presented me with this idea on paper. Hey, we got a guy. He's one of the the greatest MMA fighters of all time, and he's interested in doing a podcast now that he's in his mid-30s. Everything about that on paper looks concerning to me. Now, not from a marketability standpoint, because you got a big name to market, but my experience has been just working around like sports talk radio and things like that, that a lot of times the professional athlete who then gets into broadcasting, they think it's just, oh, it's nothing. You just sit down and say whatever comes top of your mind. There's no preparation. There's no thought that has to go into it. And a lot of times what ends up happening is they're kind of lazy at it. You know what I mean? And so if you would have just presented it to me on paper, those would have been my reservations, because I would have been like, boy, I don't know if this guy's going to know everything that's involved in doing this. But it's been such a pleasant surprise, because he actually pushes me. You know, that's the way that it's really been. And one of my fondest memories about the evolution of the podcast was when we were still doing the show every night just out here on the porch, and we'll probably do that again once it cools off a little bit. Do some outdoor episodes as well for you guys. But we would just get together out there on the patio and do these, and that's kind of where the first episodes, how everything came together. And I remember showing him the first numbers of all the people that were listening and all the different areas of the world that they were listening in. And it really seemed to catch him off guard. He was like, he's like, I knew people were listening, but in my mind, until you're showing it to me on paper, I was just thinking it's just the two of us sitting out here having a conversation. He's like, oh my gosh. He's like, now I see them in my head, and but to his credit, he's really, he's kept up with the demand for that. Like I said, the twice a week and getting in the car and driving all night if we had to go from LA to here or whatever we've done for the road shows.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to think too. I mean, look at your Jen. I mean, it's the same. I think when, again, I mean, I signed up for this a long time ago and I support him. I mean, I just, whatever he wants to do and to make him happy, right? I mean, Jen does the same to you.
Oh, yeah,
it makes you guys, this makes Frank happy. He likes to talk. He likes to talk about MMA. He loves your friendship. He loves going back and forth and talking, politics and stuff with you. So this gives him an outlet to do that. And I 100% support him.
Yeah, and I think for my Jennifer, I wish she was here. She could talk about it. Maybe we'll get her on the next week or so while we're still making up for Frank's physical absence. But I think one thing with her is she's seen me in broadcasting situations that I didn't necessarily enjoy or, had their set of problems that came with them or politics involved with them or whatever. And so I actually think she sees me as happy as I've ever been in broadcasting doing this. And I think it's almost like the difference between, probably from your standpoint, when you've seen Frank in a period of his career, like with a good group of coaches, a good camp versus something that wasn't the best situation for him. You can tell the difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've been through that. Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. It's such a positive thing. And honestly, I know you guys, you're at the house, but I mean, it really doesn't. I mean, I'm usually in bed and you guys go after. That makes me feel better. Yeah, you guys are after and you guys are kind of just in the cave. Travis always brings like good sweets and I'll cook for you guys. And
I know.
I love cooking for people. And so you guys are easy.
You're amazing at that. I know.
So no, it actually isn't, it really isn't that much,
Okay. All right. Well, good. Well, I just know that our listeners appreciate your patience with that, and especially as the show continues to grow, because there's no telling where this thing takes us next.
Yeah. Right. I mean, look, Frank was doing stand-up comedy.
I know. It's about,
and that was a dream of his.
Yeah.
He loves comedy so much. I think it helps him because I think a lot of fighters that we've talked to, they do like comedy. I think it has him slow his brain. Thinking fighting all the time, it kind of he can detach a little, I guess. But he loves comedy. That was a dream, and he got to do that. That was awesome.
He was good at it too.
He really was good at it.
I mean, not unlike the podcast, he worked at it. Like there was he could have done.
Yes, remember the day when he brought out, he was so excited. Like, I've done my research. He stayed up. I mean, he stayed up all night working on that. He was so proud. And he goes to read it to you. I remember your face. You're like, okay. Well, we need to cut this like 75%.
Yeah.
Your joke can't be 20 minutes long. Frank.
Yeah. He had written his first HBO special.
Yeah.
But there was a different, see, the thing is, he could have done less and pulled it off. You know what I mean? Like, he could have gotten away with doing far less than that, and everybody would have still said, oh, yeah, it was pretty good. But instead, because he put in like the maximum amount of work, it ended up being, wow, that was really good.
Yeah, it was good. I never asked you what the feedback was from anybody.
Great. No, it was, in fact, there were some people there, comedians and, people worked in the club and things like that we was talking to them afterward. And a number of them said of anybody that they had ever seen try this that wasn't like a professional comedian, because we've seen this before where, somebody, an athlete or an actor or something like that, a musician will get up and try it. They said of anybody that they had ever seen try that, this was by far the best that they had ever seen anybody do at it. And I think that's true. So we definitely need to do some more of that.
That's one thing about Frank, is everything that he does. It really is 100%. I mean, from the stand up, to the podcast
is the same
commentating. He's same with commentating too. Like, he's got his notes and he's looking everything over. And I mean, fighting, obviously, I mean, we live and breathe fighting, but he is. He's a really hard worker.
Yes, he is. Well, you and I both appreciate that about him.
Yes. All right. We just have to work on the house habits.
Yeah.
But I mean, he can't be perfect.
No. I think we come out ahead, all things considered.
Oh yeah.
All right. So what we want to do now is just remind everybody once again to go to our iTunes page, look up Phone Booth Fighting MMA on iTunes, click on those 5 stars. That is tremendously helpful to us. It keeps us ranked highly in iTunes, and if you have an extra moment, write a favorable line or two. Frank and I like to read those on the air and credit you guys for doing that, so please do that on iTunes. That Amazon banner continues to benefit us. Just go to phoneboothfighting.com, click through the Amazon banner, do your Amazon shopping that way. A small percentage of your purchases goes back to support the show. It's no additional cost to you. And follow us on social media. All of our previously aired and archived episodes are up there at phoneboothfighting.com and all of our social media info. But if you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, I'm Richard Hunter. On Facebook, I'm official Richard Hunter. Frank Mir is official Frank Mir on Facebook. On Twitter and Instagram, he is at the Frank Mir. And then if you want to follow the show, this is the part that Frank normally does, but I'll, do you happen to know? I'm putting you on the spot. Do you know our Phone Booth Fighting social media?
I don't know.
Okay. At Instagram, it's Phone Booth Fighting. And on Twitter, it's Phone Booth Fight. It is also Phone Booth Fight on Snapchat, and it is Phone Booth Fighting on Facebook. All right. And Travis is on Twitter at Scuba T Diving. T is in Travis.
I follow him on Instagram.
I do too. I do too. You got some diving coming up, right, Travis? Are you going to be posting some diving?
Yeah, we'll be down off San Clemente Island this weekend.
Okay.
I hopefully I'll get some good video.
Okay. All right. Is Cowboy Cerrone coming with you?
He probably would be, other than he's got a fight in 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that's Travis's diving buddy is Cowboy Cerrone. That's how we actually got Travis. He was a referral in the intern referral program from Cowboy. So we appreciate him for that. All right. Anything else? Should we wrap this up? Anything else we need to mention? No? All right. Let's get busy getting ready for your birthday party tomorrow night. How about that?
Oh yeah, yes, we're gonna be. Yeah, you guys are going, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm not really that high maintenance. Look where my party's going to be at. I'm very humble. Come on, people don't have their parties at.
Do you want to tell? You know what? By the time by the time we post it, it'll be over. I'm trying to think if I'm. You know what? Let's don't say, because I may post it tomorrow.
Okay, post it. Yeah, post it tomorrow.
We'll keep the location a secret.
But you have to admit, that's not a very high maintenance birthday, right?
No.
But I love that. I love it. I got my girls here.
Yeah.
Frank's not here. That's my bummer. But
yeah,
I keep telling him. I told him if he wants to really surprise me, he'll show up.
Well, I'll wear my phone booth fighting T-shirt, so he'll have some kind of representation.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
We'll tell you how the party was on our next episode. All right, for Mrs. Mir, Jennifer Mir, and Frank Mir, who joined us earlier, and of course Travis making everything run smoothly. I'm Richard Hunter, and we'll see you next time right back here on Phone Booth Fighting.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. But they fought with expert timing. They were funky China